Hey guys, here are some problems to help you to help you review for the integer quiz that we've been working, things we've been working on in class. Do me a favor. Here are 9 problems. What I want you to do is pause the video and try each of them on your own. You could also do one and then, watch each problem that I do. But I'm going to go through them. Once you pause the video, I'm going to go through them pretty quickly when you hit play. So again, don't just watch the video. Do all these problems and then see if you had the right idea once you're doing them. Right? And then I'm going to do them all in red. Right? So hopefully you've got a chance to do all these problems, and I'm going to go ahead and explain each one and do them for you. Um, First of all, the one thing you do want to remember is that when you have subtraction problems, you're going to do them a slightly different. They're going to be one extra step than addition problems. So I can see that this is an addition problem, this is subtraction, this is an addition problem, subtraction, and this is subtraction. So the ones that are addition are already ready to solve. The subtraction problems are going to be a little bit different. So here you go, negative 15 plus negative 12. We talked about in class that, if you drew 15 negative counters and 12 negative counters, you'd have a total of negative 27 counters. Okay? Or if you think about it, if you have a negative plus a negative, you're just going to go ahead and add them up and find out how many total negatives you have. Here's a subtraction problem. So we learned in class that we're going to, instead of subtracting, we're always going to add the opposite because we know how to add really easily, and you get the same answer. So negative 15 minus 12, you would change to negative 15. We're going to add the opposite of positive 12, which is negative 12. And now when you have negative 15 plus negative 12, it's just like this one up here. You still get negative 27. Another subtraction problem. So instead of doing negative 15 minus a negative 12, we're going to take that negative 15, and we're not going to subtract. We are going to add the opposite. And this was a negative 12, so now it becomes a positive 12. When you're adding, now we have an addition problem. When you're adding a negative and a positive, remember that they're going to cancel some. They're going to be a lot of zero pairs. So in class, there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to have 15 negatives, and you're going to have a couple positives, and the negative and the positives are going to cancel out. So we learned a shortcut that when you're adding negatives and positives, you can just subtract 15 minus 12, and you know that there's a difference of 3 between them. And then because there were more negatives, you're going to have 3 extra negatives after you're done adding. So the answer is negative 3. The original negative 15 minus negative 12 actually becomes a negative 3. Here's addition, so we can just add. We have 15 negatives and 12 positives. So when you add them, you're going to actually end up subtracting because there's going to be some zero pairs. And there's 3 extra negatives, so you are left with the negative 3. You don't have to change the problem because it was addition. Here you have absolute value. So before we do anything, we want to take the absolute value of negative 15. And that means how far is negative 15 from 0? Well, it's 15 away. So the absolute value of negative 15 is actually 15. Bring down the minus 12. And here you really don't have, even though it's a subtraction problem, because you're taking a bigger number minus a smaller, 15 minus 12, you know how to do that. That's just equal to 3. If you really wanted to change the problem and make it 15 plus negative 12, you still would end up with a positive 3 answer. Here, another absolute value problem. The absolute value of negative 7 is 7 plus 12. You get 19. Now, this almost is the same problem, but the whole thing is an absolute value. So first of all, we're going to do the addition first. Negative 7 plus 12. They're different, so they're going to kind of cancel some of the negatives are going to cancel some of the positives out. There's 4 between them, so there's going to be 4 extra, positives. So you get a positive 4 after you do negative 7 plus 12, and then the absolute value of positive 4 is just 4. Here, from least to greatest, so which is the smallest number? So I'm thinking about which number on a number line would be the farthest to the left. And if you think of it, some of these numbers are between negative 8 and negative 7. So which would be the closest to negative 8? And that would be negative 7.5. So this is our first number that we would write. This is the smallest number. Then the next number would be negative 7 and 4/10, because here's negative 7. Negative 7.4 is between 7 and negative 7 and negative 8. Then comes negative 7, and our biggest number is negative 6. So if you're writing them from least to greatest, you would have written negative 7.5, then negative 7 and 4/10, then negative 7, and then finally the biggest number, which would go right here, would be negative 6. Here, our last problem, we do have a subtraction problem. So instead of subtracting again, we are going to add the opposite. The opposite of 5, negative 5 is 5. So 9 minus negative 5 actually ends up becoming 14. And hopefully that will help you. Hopefully you got a lot of these right. If not, please make sure you go back and watch the video again. And if you have any questions, please make sure you ask me in class.